Okay, we've got big breaking news coming in right now on 5 Live. A paramilitary flag march has just taken place in Udupi. This is a huge development from coastal Karnataka. A city that is famous for its educational institutions. Students from all over the country go to Udupi for its colleges. A flag march by police and paramilitary forces is taking place in Udupi. Scenes like these perhaps have never been seen before in the district of Udupi. And these are the images that we are breaking to you first and exclusive here on India Today. A flag march by security forces to send out a message to keep the peace amidst inputs that there probably will be trouble fomented by religious groups on both sides, whether it is the Campus Front of India, whether it is the Shri Ram Sene, whether it is other fringe groups on both sides. The security establishment in Udupi, the district administration, has clearly felt the need to flex a little bit of administrative muscle and conduct a flag march by security forces. Many disturbing implications to the pictures you're seeing on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. This comes just 2 days after students were in a turbulent clash on streets very close to this one. And therefore the district administration feeling the need to send out a message that no violence, no tension will be tolerated. The government has already called for peace. The government has already called for restraint by religious groups and the students themselves. It's a weekend and there is reason to believe that many of these groups might be planning bigger protests as well. But the clear message coming in from the government, from these groups, is that the peace must be kept and that nobody must take the law into their own hands. The channel that broke the story, as always, once again, bringing you the first visuals of this big news break from Udupi. Security forces in a flag march. A flag march is basically a peaceful march through a town or city, basically as a reminder to the public and the citizens that the administration is vigilant, that the security forces are on scramble alert, and nobody who takes the law into their own hands and creates trouble, disturbs public order, will be tolerated. They will be handled under the strictest provisions of the law. With their lathis in hand, we've already seen lathi charges taking place a few days ago during the big protest between the Saffronite students and the hijab students. And now you've got a situation where a city largely peaceful, known mostly for its educational institutions, has become an epicenter of discontent, of tension, of communal divide at the student level. And now paramilitary forces are having to be deployed for a flag march with these pictures only on India Today. Pictures that are drenched in implication. Parents of students watching these pictures will be worried. They will be wondering, what level have we reached in the town of Udupi and in coastal Karnataka, a state that is so progressive, a state that in many ways is the capital of education in the country, has descended down to a situation where international stars are commenting on the transpirations of a few days ago. A large column of security forces, paramilitary and police, with vehicles conducting this unfortunate news break, a flag march in the center of Udupi. We'll have our reporter with us live in just a few minutes from now to give us a sense of why this flag march was necessary. But it is pretty plain to see that on the back of the tension that took place a few days ago, with stone pelting, with lathi charges, with some people getting hurt even, with students on both sides taking the law into their own hands, invading campuses, hoisting flags, things like that, the administration does not want to take any chances. With school reopening on Monday for classes 1 to 10, clearly the Udupi administration, under instructions from Bengaluru and the Bommai government, has decided that it needs to show firmness and resolve even in the face of students. And that's what makes this so tragic. The fact that a flag march is necessary on the back of the actions of students who've been instigated by cynical, communal-based outside groups who are using many of these students as pawns, stirring up the emotions of their parents and turning Udupi into a campus war zone. Mustafa Sheikh live with me from Udupi on this big breaking story. As always, first here on India Today. Mustafa, very, very compelling images from Udupi of a big flag march by the paramilitary forces. Tell us more about what's happening. Why was it felt necessary for a flag march to be conducted at this time?
Well, yes, Shiv, in the last few days we had seen some law and order issue in Udupi, due to which the issue had then gone to court. Now the Karnataka government has to again reopen schools and colleges. For that they need a law and order to be in place, and hence we are getting to see flag march which is happening by the rapid action forces in Udupi, so that a message can be sent that the government is prepared enough to tackle any law and order situation, because then it will be better for the government to come, the normalcy has to come back. Schools and colleges have to slowly start, and hence they are carrying out this flag march and preparing and taking prevention for any other law and order issue taking place.
Are they expecting some kind of tension, Mustafa, on the back of what happened a couple of days ago? Is the police nervous that student groups might take matters into their own hands? Because as we've established here on India Today, it is pretty clear that these students are being instigated by outside groups.
Well, the situation in Udupi actually went out of hand pretty quickly, so it can happen again, because there is one group which are happy about the verdict, the other group is not happy. So there can be some instigation due to which law and order issues can take place, not only in Udupi, adjoining areas and other parts of Karnataka. That remains to be a concern. In fact, that's the reason why the government as of now has not announced reopening of colleges. They are only saying that a high school will be opened up, and they are still to take decision on opening up of colleges. So it really goes to show that the police first wants to prepare so that no untoward incident can take place before reopening the colleges once again.
I want to bring in Malavika Avinash, who is a member of the BJP in Karnataka. Malavika, images live on our screen right now of a big flag march by police and security forces on the streets of Udupi. Very unsettling images. Udupi is before this week has been a peaceful city, student city, lots of educational institutions. Can you throw some light on why this flag march has been deemed necessary? Because the parents of students would be wondering, where has this entire situation descended to? Is the establishment expecting more tension?
It pains me just as it pains you to see Udupi like this, because you hail from Udupi and I have seen Udupi from childhood as a temple town. We go to Udupi to visit all the temples and the Ashtamata, not to see a flag march. It's unfortunate that this situation has unfolded. It's essentially because of many of the radical elements that seem to have got into the situation to somehow use it to their advantage. I'm sure you're aware of the various developments over the last week. The police has been investigating into the protests that turned violent some days ago. There was stone pelting in Karnataka, and there was a very tense atmosphere. And the police has started investigation into this. And parallelly, we are becoming more and more aware of the manner in which the Campus Front of India, which is the frontal organization, the student organization of Popular Front of India, which has been wading into these waters in especially that Udupi college following that ABVP protest. So it is incumbent upon the government now to go into all those angles and to ensure that peace is not broken again, because the schools have to reopen on Monday, and we cannot have tense situation in the state. And therefore the Home Minister has only done what is necessary. Yes, it's unfortunate, but it's necessary. I do appeal to all the students not to get carried away by any radical elements that try to brainwash them, because that's exactly what's happened to these girls. Some of these girls who never wore hijab earlier insisted, and the situation has reached where it has.
Very unfortunate but necessary, says the ruling BJP in Karnataka. Malavika, thanks for joining me on this story. I feel the same way. It's very tragic to have to report these images. This is a beautiful town that's famous for its educational institutions, and to have to report images of this kind at a time when there is a great deal of anxiety already regarding students getting back to school on Monday. There's going to be a lot of anxiety and apprehension in the minds of parents when they see a flag march of this kind. But just to make it very clear, we're hearing from the government that they don't have any specific inputs about possible tension. But given the kind of tension that did take place, and you've got those pictures on your screen from a few days ago, February the 8th, the kind of tension that actually took place, the government has basically done this as a cautionary move. It's more of an optical, a move to send out a message to the public that the police is cognizant, the police is on alert, the security forces will keep students safe. I hope they don't need to be deployed when school opens, but part of the responsibility of administrations is preempting violence as well. There is no reason to believe that there is any intelligence alert about anyone planning to foment violence, but if the events of February the 8th are any indication, ladies and gentlemen, then parents will want some kind of reassurance. Parents of the students who are wearing hijabs, parents of the students in their saffron shawls, all sides will hope that things can return peacefully and acceptably to everyone very, very quickly. Remember, the situation is still in court.